find my sheet. Al Barkstrom,
Here.
Michelle Drobnik, Doug Erickson,
Here.
Jason Hastings is excused. Bob Kopish, Larry Mivas,
Here.
and Rachel Hoffman, we don't know yet.
Yeah, okay. All right, next agenda item is public comments. Is there anybody that's online or in the room that would like to make a public comment? If you're here for the hearings, you don't have to do that now. But if you have anything other than the public hearings, now would be the time to speak. Anybody online, *6 to unmute? Okay. Are there any communications from the committee members? Anything that you want to speak to? Okay, hearing none. We'll move on to the public hearings. The time is 9:01, and we will hear about from the conditional use permit filed by Thomas Fells for the purpose of renting a home on a short-term basis on property located within the town of Fifield. Fire number N14972 Point Road.
Letters of notification were sent to Carol Bernacci, Dave and Joan Thompson, Guy Schroeder, Kathleen Scottellaro, Michelle Lee Roseski Mankey, Robin Chess, Thomas and Kimberly Fields, Charles and Jennifer Hosh, Deborah Nelson, James and Jennifer Peglow, Lisa Paulson Copina and Daniel Copina, Nancy Taylor, Tracy Jean Roseski, Daniel Buntrock, Genevieve Pausch, Jeffrey Barabaz, Lyndon Schroeder, Robert Barabaz, Tyler Nathan Ramker, Crystal Cowling with the town of Fifield.
All right, we received several letters back that I'll read. First one, I do not want to turn our little community into a weekly rental area. If someone has a problem or a building issue, everyone helps out. It would be a shame to lose that. Once rentals start, how is it controlled? Signed, Keith Roski.
Was he on the list?
Yes. There was somebody with that same last name on the list.
Tracy Roski?
Yeah. I would assume it's that property. Second one states, we are against their proposal. This proposal will absolutely have an adverse effect on the established character and quality of life of this small community. Our family has owned property in this small, quiet community for over 70 years. We come here for a quiet, restful atmosphere. Cities around the country are banning short-term rentals because they destroy the fabric of the community. This proposal will have an adverse effect on the existing private single-lane roadway in our community. The proposal shows 8 or 9 parking spaces. How many people are they going to rent to at one time? I'm not sure there's room for that many spaces in that small lot without impacting the private road. Since this is a private road, the property owner needs to maintain the road. This proposal will create harmful effects that include noise, damage to the private road, access on the private road due to the parking problems, and increased traffic. It will feel like this is a resort in the neighborhood. That one is signed Joan Thompson and Dale Thompson and Dave Thompson. Sorry, the writing is tough to read. All right, next letter. Dan Buntrode and Chris Buntrode, property owners at N14950 Point Road. We are opposed to any conditional use permit for the purpose of renting a home. This is a neighborhood, not a commercial rental district. We vote no. Dan Buntrode and Chris Buntrock. And Chris Buntrock. Next one states, I am not in favor of a conditional use permit allowing short-term rentals for the property at 14922 Point Road. Currently, the properties on Point Road are owner occupied and not businesses. There will be more strangers and a change in our liability exposure. We also share a common driveway, signed Nancy Taylor. Nancy Taylor. Next one reads, I am writing to express my concerns regarding the proposal for a conditional use permit on our private road. Given the close proximity of all properties on our road, I believe that allowing a conditional use permit in such a remote, closely knit neighborhood would disrupt the tranquil and private nature of our community. The presence of transient guests who have no connection to our neighborhood and are unfamiliar with our norms and values will lead to increased noise, traffic, and potential safety and security issues. Our private road is intended to provide a serene and stable environment for us residents, and introducing a vacation rental so near our homes would significantly impact the peaceful surroundings we all value. For these reasons, I strongly believe that a conditional use permit is not suitable for our neighborhood. Signed, Kimberly Chess.
What was that?
Kimberly Chess. And that's all the letters that we received.
Okay, is there anyone in the room would like to make a comment on this permit? Yeah. Okay, just a few things on the public hearing rules. Speakers speak to the podium like where you are and state your name and address, and all comments are to be addressed to the board, 3 minutes, okay? And questions from the board only may be directed to a speaker for a response. And a public hearing is not a debate. It is to allow comments to the board on the topic of the hearing. So, sir, if you'd want to state your name and your address.
Dave Thompson, home address is 3109 Rudolph Drive in Schofield. Address up here is 14946 Point Road. I'm obviously opposed to it also.
What was your name again, sir?
Dave Thompson.
Dave Thompson.
I'm not gonna, a lot of what I had to say has already been stated, so I'm not gonna redo that. I did take the time though to measure the so-called parking spaces that are available there. There is no way you can park in front of that garage and not block the road. Can't be done. The standard measurement for trucks and vans is 11 feet wide by 20 to 22 feet long, cars 9 feet wide by 18 feet long, and handicap parking for all is 14 feet wide. The measurements from the garage to the road is 14 feet in depth, and that was only if you park touching the wall of the garage. So you get 14 feet to park a car. It can't be done. It'll be blocking the road, always. It's 30 feet wide, so there is room for 3 vehicles, but you can only parallel park so you can get one in there, and that'll be it. On the road that goes up behind the garage to a shed is a very steep incline and narrow, and the passengers in the car, if they step out of the door, they're going to drop between 2 and 3 feet depending on where on that road they're parked. So it's not safe to even park there. A lot of the other things that have been talked about already are the fact it's going to change. It's going to change everything. That road we jointly pay for to maintain. It is a private road. It's meant for people that live there and family and their friends once in a while come up. Not usual, but it happens. With all those people coming in, because he says he wants to run to 724, that means he's planning on having a lot of people there. Nowhere in here do I see how many people he says the home will handle, so there's no capacity given. I didn't see any report on the septic system, how many people that will handle. There's no room to park trailers or boats at all. on that property. And I guess that's pretty much all I have to say is it's just simply not suited for a rental property. And I'm going to leave it at that. That's all I have to say.
Okay.
I want to point out one of the things. There are cities, villages, municipalities all over the state doing their darndest to ban these BRB type rentals. You go to Door County, you won't find a village that isn't trying to ban them completely because of what they've done to the community, how they've changed it. So that, we don't want to see that happen in our neighborhood either. I'm sure you guys all would feel the same way, or most of you would. It's meant for our use, not for strangers to come in. We have no control over, we don't know how they're going to handle garbage. There's just no controls in place and no policing in place to make sure that these rules are followed. Example, two of my sisters-in-law rented a property in the winter up here. They got into the place, no source of heat. It wasn't working. They called, were told somebody would be there shortly. Nobody ever showed up. There was a wood-fired fireplace, which they had to start and burn to try to stay warm. No recourse for them whatsoever.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Thompson.
You're welcome.
I'll close the hearing first before I have a question for you.
Pardon me?
Do we close the hearing first before I have a question for you?
Why don't you ask it right now?
That road, is that an easement road or so everybody?
Everybody actually owns the road that their property abuts.
They have an easement to their
Yeah,
property.
easement through all of it, yeah. Everybody has an
Okay.
easement.
All right.
Okay, is there anyone else who wish to speak at this hearing? Okay, I will declare the. Oh,
Yeah, I'd like to speak.
okay. State your name.
Yeah, my name is Tom Files.
Okay,
I'm the one that applied for the conditional use permit for
okay,
short-term rental. And I just want to say, while I did not purchase the property with the intent to do short-term rental, it's come up in a lot of conversations. And, I checked into it. It is legal in Wisconsin. And I'm working through all the proper rules, regulations, licensing, and permitting. My well has been inspected. My septic has been inspected. I've turned all that into the county. And I've also had the state has actually come out and inspected it and approved it for rental. I was originally told that this meeting was not going to, by the county zoning, that this meeting was not going to take place this month. And then when I received the notice, I was a little bit shocked. I kind of felt bad because I wanted to talk to some of my closer neighbors about it in person before they saw the letter. But, for those that didn't, I apologize. And I do believe I share some of the same concerns as my neighbors, those being parking, increased noise, increased traffic, and neighborhood tranquility. As far as parking, the property does have 7 legitimate gravel parking spaces, and I'm not talking about just parking in the grass lawn. There's enough to handle the guests that I'll have. As far as increased traffic, there won't be any more traffic than if I were up there with my friends or family for a weekend, and certainly not as much as if I lived there full time. I'm sure guests will come and stay to enjoy the property, and there will be minimal trips in and out. Noise, property is going to be geared towards family groups. There's going to be rules in place for no large parties. Quiet hours are going to be in place to be respectful of neighbors. As far as neighborhood tranquility, not really sure how to address this. This is a recreational property in a recreational area where people come to enjoy water sports, ATV riding, snowmobiling, hiking, and fishing. Some of my favorite times up there this summer were when it was a very busy holiday weekend or neighbors were having many guests. I don't know, seeing people enjoying life and having fun does not have a negative effect on my property. It actually kind of makes me smile. Thanks for listening.
thank you, Mr. Fells. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak to this permit? Okay, hearing none, the time is 9:15. And I'll close the public hearing. Agenda item number 4 is the decision on the conditional use permit filed by Thomas Fields. Evan, I heard him say that there were 7 parking places on that property. Is that true?
Sorry. They'd be able to rent to 6, a max of 6 renters, because it's a 3-bedroom septic. So I would guess the 7 parking stalls are, it's a little bit of a moot point. But, and it does show the parking spots on the map. I mean, it seems like those are up for debate, whether you could fit that many vehicles in there or not.
Does it not state that drawing's supposed to be to scale? It is nowhere near.
Public
scale.
hearing is over, sir.
So yeah, we've got a sketch on there that's fairly representative of what we see on other sketches. I guess I don't know what your other questions about the parking would be.
That was the only thing I had because during the public hearing, that parking issue came up.
Yeah, they
And
show,
the owner stated that there was parking for 7 vehicles.
they've got 7 or 8 drawn on there. If you look at the plot plan that's in there, they've got 2 or 3 parking spaces there, 3 parking spaces there, and 2 on the other side.
We have standard restrictions on parking and.
Yeah,
all
you
that.
can-
Is it?
Generally, what we've got that you can't park on a public road.
Right.
However, this is a private road, so that could be a condition that would be added to this conditional use permit, that parking would have to be off of the private road. That's what I was going to recommend when the concerns came up about the private road, is that the committee could add a condition that no vehicles could be parked blocking the private road.
Okay. Do I hear motion?
I'll make a motion to accept, and then do we need to add the parking as on another?
Well, we could get a motion to approve
Let-
and then
yeah.
move for
A
Very-
motion to approve then.
variation to the motion. So you're making the motion?
Yes.
Okay, motion by Doug Erickson. Do I hear a second? Seconded by Michelle Drobnik. Discussion.
Yeah, just a question. Looking at this map and comparing it to this one, it doesn't seem like this drawing fits what I'm seeing on here. Now, it could be that this is disproportionate, but like this extra parking on that side, that way, I don't know where that's gonna work. Or even all the parking that's supposed to be over there. I don't know. Maybe you can fit a lot of people, cars in there. I don't know. Yeah, he has a parking spot over there, which I'm not sure how that fits with the property line in his drawing. I'm not sure what he's gonna. Says there's gravel there now. I'm not sure. I see it there by the house. And across the road, and I guess way up in there. But I guess that could be a moot point, but it just seems like there's a lot of parking spaces that I'm not sure how that's gonna work.
I think by putting that condition on. Sorry, I'll leave it on this time. I think by putting that condition on about no parking on the
On the
private
road.
road, I
On
think
the
that'll
road.
address that concern.
Is there something on how close you can park to the road, even if you're off the road?
This is a private road.
It's a private road.
So you can have your bumper right up to the edge of the road? I'm not familiar with this.
Depends how wide that easement is technically, so we don't enforce private easements. However, if that's, I don't know if it's a 2-rod, 3-rod, 4-rod, it's probably a 2-rod easement for all those, it's old through there, so Most, what's that? 16 and a half feet, so it'd be a 33 foot.
33, a rod is 16 and a half, yeah.
So it'd be a 33-foot easement. Possibly, I don't know what each property has through there, but just hypothetically, if it's a 2-rod easement, and somebody was blocking that easement, one of the other property owners could file a claim in circuit court that they're
It would be a
restricting
civil
their,
claim.
it's a civil claim. Yeah, we don't regulate private easements, but that's just a hypothetical, the way that a blocking a private easement would be enforced.
Did I hear a motion to amend the petition so that there is no parking on the easement road?
I will
Just-
make that.
It'd be a
motion.
condition
A
added.
conditional-
conditional use
Condition
permit.
added to no parking on easement road.
I will second that.
Bob, did you second it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, seconded by Bob Kopish. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, any other discussion?
One thing you may want to update, anybody listening or hear about what we have the ability to do as a committee, or what you have the ability to do as a committee.
Yeah, I usually give that speech. You can
Yeah,
give it. You can give it.
Okay. So back in 2017, the Wisconsin State Legislature passed rules that basically this committee cannot deny conditional use permits for short-term rentals. They can place conditions on them as long as they're deemed reasonable. And as long as the property owner follows those conditions, they have to allow that use within the zoning district.
And we also have noise laws within the county. And there are special conditions that are standard with conditional use permits.
What are those?
We can provide a list of those to you if you'd like.
We didn't get much of, we got no information here, so we're flying blind.
Sure, you would have got the notice of the public hearing and what the proposed use was. Yeah, there's a standard list of conditions that go with all conditional uses for short-term rentals. We can provide you that list of conditions. The occupancy is limited on the septic sizing. So this property has a 3-bedroom conventional septic. So it's 2 renters per bedroom per the septic sizing. So they'd be allowed to rent to up to 6 people, would be the maximum amount they could advertise to rent to. And the owner will receive a notice of those conditions that are placed on it as well. They're written directly into our ordinance in short-term rentals.
Maybe I can add a little bit. The county has a noise ordinance. The county has a animal ordinance, like with barking dogs and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, there's speed ordinances. There's all the stuff that has to do with the waterfront. That's DNR. Some of it's DNR. Some of it's county. The situation you get into is from an adjoining landowner perspective, and I have a property on a lake up in the northern part of the county, is that you have to complain. And if there are complaints, then we would be able, depending on the seriousness of the complaints, revoke the permit. But we can't deny it up front. That's the situation we're in.
I did not understand.
Yeah. So if it gets out of line and there's complaints, then we could take some action. Yeah.
Those complaints would go to the sheriff's department.
Sheriff's Department?
Yes, county sheriff's department.
And depends what, I guess it depends what the complaint
Right.
is about.
Right.
If it has to do with the number of renters that are there, then the complaint would go to the Evan.
Yeah.
Okay, to the original motion that was to approve, it was made by Doug, seconded by Michelle. Any other further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, petition is approved.
You have 2 motions out there. You had a motion to place a condition.
Okay. I thought we did that.
I know, but I didn't,
Okay, well, we'll
For a
go
vote?
back for the,
was there a vote?
for the additional condition, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Okay, that would,
Thank you.
yeah, all right. So the petition is approved. And the time was 9:25.
The ordinance. I'll mail you the ordinance. You can have those conditions.
Okay, agenda item number 5, special exceptions permit filed by Dwayne Muxness for the purpose of building an addition to a garage 47 feet to the center line of South Sioux Lake Road on property located within the town of Elk, fire number N9020 South Sioux Lake Road.
Letters of notification were sent to Dennis Jagodzinski, Timothy and Tanya Helwig, Prohaska Family Property Trust, RKK Income Trust, Dwayne and Sheila Ann Moxness, Regina Damjanovic of the town of Elk.
Did you hear anything from the town? No objections?
No objections?
I'll move to approve.
Okay, motion by Bob Kopish to approve, seconded by Michelle Grodnick. Well, let's see, was this, okay, that wasn't, there was no hearing involved here, all right,
We had there was a public hearing on that one.
it was. All right, so we need to close the hearing, which was, and then the motion was made. Okay,
I'll second that.
I think Michelle already did.
Michelle beat me already.
Yeah.
She's got to speak up over it.
Any further discussion on the motion to approve? Okay, we'll take the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, exception permit is approved. Agenda item number 7, land division filed by Peter Seifert to create one lot in the town of Lake.
So this one, you get a copy of the CSM. It's a 6.1 acre CSM that they're applying to create that new lot. This one, it meets the minimum requirements. It's got plenty of frontage on the public road, doesn't exceed 4:1 length to width ratio. It is a CSM, so it does need to go to the Department of Administration at the state. So we just look for a motion to approve pending DOA approval.
All right, do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve upon. Approval.
Motion by Doug Erickson to approve. Seconded,
Sure, I'll second.
Michelle Brodnick. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. So we're gonna move on to future of short-term rentals and Bob Kopish asked that a couple meetings ago, maybe the last, that we put this on the agenda for discussion. And I knew that there was a lot of interest in this topic in the county of Door County. So I poked around, I found some newspaper articles, so I'm responsible for putting these, and that's what they are, just unabridged articles in the newspaper. And it's, we've over the years have heard all of the same arguments that we hear just about every month. And so we're liable to Wisconsin Statute 66. And Bob gave an explanation of what that is, and we have over the time. So when I and as far as landowners are concerned, probably 100% of the people that own property, they don't want somebody else telling them what to do with their property. And that seems to be universal. And then on the other side, you have the arguments that it's going to destroy the neighborhood and the traffic and on and on. So if you have any, and when I read these articles, it seems that there was one common thread is that when somebody opposed or the village or whatever, immediately you get lawsuits, the lawyers get involved, and that was common with everything here. So, and then some of the ways that the villages, they try to put restrictions that might seem to be unusual. And of course, then the courts get involved in it. So Bob, do you want to, where do you would like this to go as far as additional options that the county may or may not take?
Well, I guess that's probably it. You know, what can we effectively do? And the whole issue is you know, a lot of these places are zoned residential, and residential has a different meaning than having people coming in and out on a rental basis who don't live there permanently. And you know, I'm in the same situation these people are in. We don't have a private road. We got a town road going past the house, but I've got people that don't. Most of the people around me don't live there for full year round. So this could happen. I could have 2 people on one side, 2 people on the other side. And then you've got all summer long, you've got people going in and out and in and out, in and out, in and out. And they're there to have a fun time. I mean, they really don't probably care much about the people that are the neighbors. And so when does this residential neighborhood, which has a connotation to it to be residential, become actually commercial? And how do we address that issue? Is that something we can actually do? Is it a matter of going through our legislatures in order to get this done? Of course, that's a long process, and
Right.
legislators change. But what are our options?
And we've lobbied the legislature, I think, twice with resolutions saying that we would like to bring it back to more local control. But the only method that I could see would be for zoning, so that it's residential or commercial. You know, that might be an avenue. Pardon me?
Not without a change in that Act 67, because it basically what they said at that time was, you know, short-term rental still considered a residential use.
Okay, so that's not an option.
Not
Not that you can see.
that I can see. You can't create zoning districts that wouldn't allow short-term rentals. So without a change to that act, there's nothing that you can do. I mean, we amended our ordinance last year to try and address some of these concerns. The biggest thing we did when we amended the ordinance was to add that provision, conditional use permit expires upon property transfer. That hopefully will take care of some of the problem, but then the new owners will just apply for it and be granted a conditional
Do we
use
know
permit.
how many short-term rentals that we have in Price County?
We're over 100.
Over 100.
Was the last spreadsheet I saw, right? It's not 150, but we were over 100. And keep in mind, that's conditional use permits for short-term rentals. I don't know if there's actually 100 being offered to rent or not, because there's several that have conditional use permits for short-term rentals, but they're not renting. I mean, that's a common situation where somebody got one 5 years ago, they rented for a year, then they either moved up here and live here full-time, or
It
they
seems that
decided that the headache wasn't
seems
worth
to be
it.
a strategy for people that want to move here, and they're years from retirement. As they buy something, they rent it out, and then they eventually remodel it and move here.
Right.
And I've also heard that maybe the market is getting full, and they remodel it, and it's not working out, and so they sell it. I live right across the street from I live on a lake. I live right across the street from a rental for years, and I've never had any issues with it.
I think that's what's very interesting. I mean, every time we have one, we have lots of people with concerns and well understood, but have we ever had anybody come back after we've
Very few.
I mean,
We've
it's,
got one right now that
Okay.
I've received a few complaints about within the past.
but
month,
I'm
but
amazed that we don't have more complaints
We
than
have
we do.
Very,
after it's-
very, very, very few compared to the initial blow up when they apply for a conditional
Yeah,
use permit.
yeah, I
But
mean,
once they get granted, I mean, you live by a whole bunch of them. I know Alan lives by several of them. And do you see issues on the properties that are being rented? And
Well, there's nothing right next to me. There was one that was, and it changed now. It's gone to a full-time resident, and there's one further away, but that's primarily used by the family and people that the family knows, which we know. So I haven't seen any issues within that quarter of a mile.
but you would also hear from the.
Well, I hear a lot of stuff, but it's out on the lake. I mean, it's not right next door to me.
Right.
The only issue that I've ever had is in the fall, the bird hunters come up and they bring 5 dogs with them and they take 4 hunting and leave one home to bark. And I don't, but it doesn't bother me and I don't complain and eventually that stops.
Yeah.
Input I have been getting is our fees should be higher and there should be an annual fee.
So we just.
We just raised it.
More than doubled the initial application fee.
I understand that, but that's the input I'm getting from neighbors that are concerned about the same thing. That there should be an annual fee, so you just don't pay the one fee and then you got your permit forever without any other cost.
And they do have to get an annual fee from the state.
Yeah, but
Or they
I'm
had
talking,
annual
I'm
permit
talking
from the
just the
state.
county. Yep.
Right.
Do you know what the annual fee from the state is by chance?
How much?
I'd have to look it
Yeah.
up.
We'd have to look at.
It's through DATCAP. It's a lodging license similar to a hotel motel resort. But it's.
And that's standard right through a certain fee and each
yeah,
rental, or is it based on something different?
I think it's one for a, they call it, they don't call them short-term rentals. They call them tourist rooming house. Yeah. But they pay an annual fee. They have to, the state comes in and does a well test. They inspect the structure. I think they look to see if it's got carbon monoxide detectors and smoke alarm, that type of thing to be licensed as a tourist rooming house. And then they pay an annual fee to them for that.
It's $110.
$110? That's what it is. Okay.
From their one-time inspection fee is $300.
So that's what they pay the state to be licensed. And the state actually does something for that, to get that. To pay us, I mean, what are we doing annually to review these other than tracking them to see how many there
Well,
are?
just having them keep their permit.
Right.
I mean,
In my opinion, if we tried to reject applications or impose unusual restrictions, you're going to get involved in lawsuits because we're subject to that state statute, what seems to be pretty firm.
And honestly, that's why we are in the position we are. That's why Act 67 came about. You had when you have a little bit of overreach, then you get a lawsuit, and then you have some radical change that then we all have to pay for, basically. You're going to see some legislative change based on this Door County thing, I think, too. Because, like, the Village of Sister Bay apparently is trying to impose a lot of restrictions. And then I think you're probably going to see some legislative change that they can't do this, and it'll probably affect the rest of us.
Right now, the only winners are the attorneys.
It happened in 2015 with the shoreline rules, and they did those sweeping changes. But so I would caution against doing something, and an annual fee isn't radical. I think it's something we could impose, and you'd have some griping, but you wouldn't have a lot of pushback. It'd have to be significant enough to where it'd be worth it for us to do and track. Like a $50 annual fee is not. We've had that discussion. The juice isn't worth the squeeze in that situation. But
I thought our numbers are quite low, actually. I just know Tomahawk, somebody looked that up and they said there's 900 rentals available in Tomahawk.
We don't really have that much water.
Yeah, so, I mean, we're really very low on the totem pole here is if we only have 100.
When you
in our
compare
town.
us to like Hayward,
Yeah,
Minocqua, Vilas County, Door County, we're Polk County, when you get over towards the cities,
Yeah,
but it does impact, we also have we have less lakes here, we have less residents on the lakes.
and,
Yeah.
and it's other states too. And my wife had, some housing network on, and it was out east and they're figuring out how much they're gonna make each year. Most of them was based on an $800 a night. And of course, they try to say they're gonna be rented. So, they're talking $200,000 a year. So then they're buying this property, redoing them. And it's just no end to it. So, it's not just here in Wisconsin, of course.
And that's probably honestly the biggest gripe I get from younger families and residents is that the business short-term rentals take away the availability of single-family homes for people that live in the community. That's
That's the
probably
biggest
the
negative.
biggest valid negative that I hear.
All right, any other discussions on that agenda item? Bob, anything?
Well, I'd like to see us do something, but I don't know what it is.
You know,
That's the problem.
well, we can always put it back on the agenda.
Yeah, I'll probably talk to Evan a little bit outside the meeting and just see if there's something that can get formulated. I'll let you know, Alan.
Mhm. All right, department reports.
All right, department. So you got a copy of our permit report. The permits for July were down from last year. Last year was really busy in July. This year still seemed pretty busy, but the permit numbers were down. I think that wet June kind of slowed things down a little bit. Septics this past couple weeks has gotten pretty busy for plumbers installing septics. We've had a lot of soil tests and numerous septics went in last week. This week's been a little bit busy, but that rain slowed down the mounds a little bit. So
As I move around the county, I see quite a few going up, new buildings going up.
yeah, there's
Yeah.
still a lot of new construction.
Yeah.
I would say it's slightly slower than last year. There's a little bit more uncertainty, it seems like, this year, and people are more apprehensive to do stuff, but otherwise, nothing out of the ordinary.
All right, any questions for Evan? Or Amanda? All right, I will adjourn this portion of zoning the meeting and we'll open up land conservation. Call that to order. Roll call would be the same. Is there any public comments? Anybody in the public wish to speak to land conservation? Anybody online? *6. Okay. Any communications from members of the committee? Okay, department reports.
I really don't have a whole lot new this month. We're still working on finalizing construction projects for the year. Last month we had our annual or our 5-year plan renewal. That went through. So we're good on that for the next 5 years. We've got our clean sweep event coming up on September 24th. That'll be in Park Falls from 2 to 6. Northwest Regional Planning and Veolia will be in, and they'll take household hazardous waste, and there'll be a electronics collection. There'll be a notice that goes out in the paper September 14th about that. It'll be in the extra review shopper. There'll be a flyer that goes in there. So.
Clean sweep, right? Where's that gonna?
It'll be in Park Falls.
Park Falls. You rotate it, don't you?
Yeah, 1 year it's in Phillips and next year it's in Park Falls. And
Okay.
Phillips.
Where about in Park Falls?
It'll be at the old Shopco building.
Okay.
It's owned by St. Croix Rod.
St. Croix Rods will let you do that.
What's that? We used to have it at their facility up there, but the parking up there and got to be a little bit of a headache. So they asked if we could do it down at the other facility because there's a lot less.
Well, that's kind of them.
Yeah, they've always been really nice to work with. September 24th from 2 to 6. That's a Tuesday, I believe.
Okay, anything else for Evan? I did go to visit the county shooting range in Aspen Road. That's really nicely done. So
Yeah, Jason helped out a little bit with that, but that was mostly done by the forestry department. But
forestry.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's really, really nice.
I do have a question for you, Evan. I was asked by the town chairman of Elk when the inspection of the deer fences would be done.
Yeah, we talked to
And
Tom about that.
You talked, and I told him that Jason would be the one. I sent him an email. I don't know if he looks at his emails or not.
Sent an email to Jason?
I sent it to Jason and Tom.
Okay.
I don't know if either one of them looks at their emails.
Oh, I did talk to Tom about that.
Long ago.
A week or two.
Okay.
So that it'll either get inspected by us, or if the state walks it and sends us the inspection report.
What are you talking about?
The Servid farm out on W, out in the town of
Yeah, Jason, he'd be one of the participants in the inspection for that Servid fence.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, to make sure it meets our ordinance, because we
Right.
had that Servid ordinance adopted. Was that 2 years ago now? About
I think so.
seems like somewhere in that time frame. And yeah, that was constructed, and I haven't had any complaints.
Are there deer in
about
there?
it. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
had deer in there for over a year now.
Yeah.
Some really big ones.
All right, we'll adjourn this portion of the meeting. And we'll look at the minutes from July 18th. Motion by Bob. Seconded by Michelle to approve the minutes. I do have a question. Is Nick online? On item number 9, it says we are still waiting on guidance for land sale procedures. I thought we were done with that. What does that mean? Nick, here you are.
Yeah, we have not gotten what we need to put a new updated ordinance in place, and WCA at the September conference is going to be releasing a guidance document that will help us put that in place. So then once we get the updated process of those land sale items, then we can set the prices.
So right now, we're not selling anything until that's approved or completed. Is that true?
Correct. The biggest problem we're having is, I can't remember if it's on this first year or this first issue of them. We had like 210 days, and then any properties that we take going forward, I want to say it's like 180 days or 90 days. I can't remember the exact timeline. And our next court date's September 17th, 15th, something mid-September. So from that date, we have 150 days, or sorry, not 150, 120 days to dispose of the properties.
So is the clock has not started yet?
It has, but no one's challenging it because we're all working through this together. And that's why, like I said, in September, Atolis and Andy Phillips should have guidance documents ready for us.
All right. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Did I hear a motion to approve the minutes? Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Okay, vouchers. Everybody seen the vouchers?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Doug Erickson to approve. Seconded by Bob Kopish. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Okay, we've got the next meeting. Michelle?
I just, quick kind of comment on it, the 4-H camp one that's in there, how many kids did that cover? I mean, I'm good with it no matter what. I'm just curious how many kids they actually had involved.
I don't know the number, so we'd have to ask Julie about that.
There were 15 people that went from Price County,
Okay.
and I believe that they were 9, don't quote me on that, but 8 or 9 youth. And then we had 6 adults, 5 or 6 adults that went.
That answer your question? Okay.
Thank you.
Let's see. There was a motion to, somebody made a motion to approve the vouchers? Okay, any discussion? Doug and Bob, okay. Any discussion, further discussion? We'll vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Vouchers are approved. Next meeting date is October 17th. You want to go further than that, Evan?
Yeah, if we want to set the November one, I think normally we skip December, right? Isn't that normal procedure? November would be the 21st, I think. That works for. Yeah, it's a week before.
November 21st.
Yep, that's.
Okay, that's a week before Thanksgiving, right?
Yep, it's 1 week before Thanksgiving.
November 21. Any disagreements? Okay, so the next meeting will be October 17th, and let's see, land use. There is a chance I will not be at that meeting. So who's the vice chair?
Me.
You? Okay. Stand alerted because I'm not sure yet.
That's the November meeting.
October,
Oh, the October one?
yeah.
Okay.
All right. UW Extension, call that to order. Roll call is the same. Any public comments? Any communications from committee members? Thank you. No communications. We'll move on to the Reality Day Fair. Rachel.
All right, so we had talked about this, not at the last meeting, I missed the last one, but the one before. So again, working with new staff coming in, we can definitely make this be a possibility. I would just need to locate materials that have been utilized in the past, and I have some folks I could reach out to. But I do know that there are a particular set of materials that we would use. There's a list of jobs that kids get to choose from, things like that. And if I can't locate that here, I have some resources in another county that I can reach out to get my hands on some of those materials.
So it's moving forward, the plans.
Yes, we're our first week back this
Right.
week. That's why I was a little late. We had a back to school in service this morning, and we have a new 612 school counselor. But it's definitely on the radar for our principal and our school counselor. It would be a springtime activity, so
So
it
that would
gives
be a
us
spring event.
Yep, a spring
Yeah.
event. It gives us some time to get some
Right.
pieces into place and let our new folks settle into their new jobs.
Okay.
I was just gonna add, we have some resources through
Okay.
Extension, our Human Development and Relationships Institute, our financial programming area that we could send to you as well. So I'll
Okay.
go ahead and do that.
Okay, Art, area director's position.
The Dean's leadership team is meeting today, and they'll be discussing this position. My understanding is that there'll be a decision made, although, I can't say 100%. Sometimes things come up that would prevent or would delay a decision. But again, my understanding is today a decision will be made about how the position is going to be refilled. I think it's important that everybody at the county understands that you'll always have an area extension director to go to. We've talked about, again, dividing up the area amongst existing area directors who are contiguous to my area or refilling it as is. So we'll see what the verdict is. Hopefully the decision will be made today and we'll be able to convey that. As soon as I know, I'll let at the very least Nick and Al know. I'll probably send it out to the committee as well.
So that's that meeting today, that's kind of a, you gonna fill it or not, right? And that, it's not like you're interviewing.
Oh, no, not at that point. So it could be refilled as is, meaning it would be posted
Okay.
as a position, or the area could be divided up and area directors from contiguous areas would take on Area 3 counties. And that, that wouldn't happen till after I'm, the person would be in here, you get to meet the person, but wouldn't happen until after December, basically. There are other questions related to that?
Questions for Art? Okay. So what's been going on, Art?
Okay. So just as a reminder, educator reports, as you mentioned at the last committee meeting, are every other month. So they had a report the last month. This month, nothing. September, we're skipping, of course, so the next report will be in October. So both Julie and Wendy are planning on being here as well to supplement their written reports. I've been put into a loop, a communication loop related to, and I'm still figuring out what this is all about, but there are representatives from the Chippewa Valley Health Cooperative who want to present to this county about the hospital situation in this area and west of here. Originally, there was
What's the group?
Chippewa Valley Health Cooperative. So they're involved in, creating more opportunities for healthcare here and west of here, is my understanding. They want to do a presentation, and Extension is involved in that. Our local government center is helping them to plan some things.
They want to speak to this committee or the whole board
No, they want to speak to the Health and Human Services Committee.
committee?
So I've been put in the loop as far as the communication is concerned. And maybe Nick knows more about this than I do, but Originally, they were going to speak to that committee on September 4th, and it turns out our extension representative had a conflict that day, so they're trying to come up with another date for that presentation. As far as I know, it'd be like a 10 or 15-minute presentation from what I hear. I haven't been asked to help facilitate this, but I just wanted to make you aware that I'm not going to step into it because that could cause more confusion at this time, unless somebody asks me to.
Okay, so that's an FYI for us.
That's an FYI.
And we don't really have any input to.
Right. The only other thing I could say is that Brian Ernst has been in communication with whomever from this group to talk about when that presentation would occur.
Okay.
And as far as I know, that has not been set for October yet at this point. But again, just wanted to make this committee aware of it. And again, I don't know, Nick, if you're in the loop on that or not, or, okay.
Yeah, we received that communication, like you said, Brian Ernst did also. We're working with the Health and Human Services Board to set up a time for them to speak at that.
Okay. Well, just let me know if you need me to do anything related to it. I'd be happy to step in. So, thanks. Well, since Nick is here, I don't know if you have any updates on the meeting that took place yesterday. It was yesterday,
Today.
if I remember correctly. Oh, it's today
Yeah,
as well. Okay.
I am down in Madison today. I'm meeting with Dean Carl Martin and his leadership team. So I'm assuming they're talking about Art's position this morning. And then we're meeting with that same leadership team at 1 o'clock. We have 5 hours scheduled to continue talking about it's been called multiple different things, the MOU, the contract, our guidance documents, but I'm on a subcommittee from WCA, so I'm at the WCA building right now, where we are negotiating with UW Extension what that looks like. And when I say negotiation, really we're just communicating with each other, saying we need to update these documents to reflect not only the county's needs, the UW's needs, the way everything's moving forward. And so we've asked counties to hold off on signing those agreements between UW Extension and the counties until we can finish this work. Our goal is today to finish 95% of it, then get the last verbiage done by September, 22nd, 3rd, whenever the WCA conferences. So I'm on a panel on Tuesday morning for that conference where we're going to let all the counties know where we're at, how it's gone, hopefully have some documentation to move forward so that we can all get on the same page for January 1st and what the relationship looks like going forward between UW Extension and counties.
Thanks, Nick.
Yep, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. The only other thing I'll say is that all my budgets are in for all 4 counties. At this point, everything looks like it's going well. That could change, as everybody knows, at any time, but I'm encouraged about the early steps that have been taken by the counties to support extension, including Price County as well. So it's very much appreciated.
And I'll say with the budget, the proposed budget that went to executive and the draft budget that went to the board, there were no changes in the UW extension budget going in next year. There was discussion brought up, I believe, Alan, you brought it up, but there was additional discussion of, are we going to include funding for the additional educator that we talked about over the last 6 to 9 months? It is not in the budget right now, but it is on a list of items to be discussed at the next executive committee meeting for consideration.
Okay. Anything else, Art?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Right, any questions for Art? All right, financial report. There's a short documentation on their financials. Any questions? That'll be the time to ask. No? All right, well, we stand adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.